So everyone, first of all, good evening, good afternoon, I would say. For few of the people, it's evening. For few of the people, it's afternoon, I would say. So first of all, thank you so much for joining in. It's the festive vibes, and I hope everyone had a great week lately. So kindly give me a thumbs up or at least something that if I'm clearly audible to you, there's no disturbance. We have already got a plenty of introductions. So now it's time, I guess, to introduce myself. So I'm Tanisha Sharma, working as a marketing specialist at Extra Edge, and I am your host today. So along with our speaker Abhi Bala, who is the co-founder of Extra Edge, please feel free to put in the chat if you are having any trouble during the course of the webinar, and if you have any questions, put it in the Q&A section. We'll be definitely taking up during the course of the webinar. And of course, we have the technical team in the background. So if you are facing some issue, kindly let us know in the chat section, and we'll be happy to help you. So Abhishek, let's talk about about Extra Edge, what Extra Edge does, and how it basically is. So Extra Edge is an early stage startup founded in 2017, and of course founded by our two co-founders Abhi Ballav and Sushil Mundara. So basically, the Extra Edge is an end-to-end automation, provide end-to-end automation admissions process. And let's just talk about our suite of products. So we have different products like marketing automation, online application forms, IVR. We have our chatbot, live chat, WhatsApp, and of course, advanced analytics. If we talk about our customers, so we are 350 plus customers strong, and we have our presence pan India. So if I talk about few overseas, we have Unihawk, we have Admit Abroad, and vocational comes under BSc, K11 School of Fitness Sciences. And we are known in the university section, and we have few of the well-known institute like MIT Institute of Design, the Anand Sagar University in the south. So Abhishek, it's time to introduce yourself. So I would love to, hand it over to you now.
Yeah, so thank you, Tanisha, and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined in. This webinar is more about go-to-market strategies for education and less about Extra Edge. But a quick, introduction about myself. So I have been working with more than 350 odd education brands in the last 5 years, helping them in their go-to-market strategies and kind of seeing very close, having a ringside view of how post-pandemic they have changed into in a very digital go-to-market strategy. So I have been very privileged to see the transition from offline to digital and how brands across universities, test prep, vocational skilling, and as well as study abroad have moved how they acquire students. It's a total paradigm shift. Uh, as a co-founder of Extra Edge, I have multiple conversations every day with new customers and new prospects where I have a very keen lookout on how their entire admission and marketing works. So I'm based out of Pune, and and very happy and excited to be here and share what does a new go-to-market strategy looks like for these brands. And this is also a very opportune moment because this is a change in the season, and that's where people start to ramp up their sales marketing process pre-Diwali and the season starts. So very happy to be here, Tanisha.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for that introduction. So let me just start with the webinar. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So if you have any questions during the course of the webinar, I've already mentioned, please put them into the Q&A section. We'll bring that up for sure. And you can use the chat window to discuss and talk about your experience of the webinar. If you have any questions or you want to share anything during the webinar. And let's make it a very interactive session, and please don't shy away from interacting. So let me first start with some context setting, Abhi. So what we are not going to cover in this webinar and what we are going to cover in this webinar. So this time I did a little bit of tweaks in this session. So we won't be talking about, different marketing strategies, like we won't dwell into blogs, emails, how to write them. We won't be talking about how you can optimize your website or maybe your content and social media strategies. And definitely, we are not going to talk about how to generate more leads in application. What we are going to talk about is student funnel. What understand the student funnel, understanding your education business, categorizing the brand, categorizing with brand examples. We'll be talking about few of the renowned brands which are actually proven to be have a good go to market strategies in the education business. And of course, you must be already having your go to market strategy, but we would be rethinking on them. And last but not the least, we'll be doing a value proposition exercise, and that is a canvas for your institute. So we'll be also sharing a editable version of this worksheet, and would be happy to receive few of the inputs from you guys. So let's start with Abhishek. First, few things that what are the top three factors that student consider while actually choosing an institute or while deciding, okay, I have to go for this particular institute. So according to a research, it says that these are the top three factors which student consider while choosing where to go. So location of the institute is very important. Where the location is exactly situated, where the location is, nearby areas, or where the preference of the students are. If I talk about the program cost, then it is also the second most important factor, that how much the courses cost, because the financial dependability is a very important factor in today's world. And of course the social life and the campus activities, how much different institute is providing with the social life, how much different activities they are providing, what are the future aspects, what are the career opportunities. So these were the top three factors that students consider while going to a college or maybe to a university. So Abhishek, why
And
don't you
Tanisha, I
tell?
would,
Hmm. Sorry, tell me.
yeah. And Tanisha, I
Please
would
go ahead,
also
Abhishek.
like to quickly talk about it. If you go to the last, yeah, it looks very obvious that these are the three very common factors that anybody will look for. But it is important that institutes play on their strength. Somebody in the Bombay is in the financial capital of India, so he can generally talk about it. But if somebody is probably down south in Coimbatore, then he can talk about the cool, calm atmosphere there, or the nearness to Tamil Nadu as a automobile hub. So I think the important factor here, what we found in the research, is that you really need to understand what can you talk about your location. So that's very, very important, right? Every location has its own unique advantages, and sometimes it's away from the hustle and bustle of the city, so it provides tranquility and it provides peace, right? Or it's near to an industrial area, probably in Ghaziabad or Gurgaon or Noida. So that's very, very important. And in the cost of program, also very important, Tanisha, is that how this cost is going to be paid, how easy is the loan process, how easy is the installment process, and so on and so forth. And in the campus and social activities, it's very important that does the student is going to have a wholesome curricular life in this particular course program or not, are industry stalwarts coming or not, are kind of influencers coming or not, and so on and so forth. And are they going out for important workshop internships, or having those kind of experiences that industry will demand for. So just wanted to add that, Tanisha, and that needs to be voiced very clearly across the online world. Yeah.
Definitely, Abhishek. So that were a few good pointers that need to be covered. So now let's talk about, Abhishek, the funnel. So basically the funnel that we have been talking for years, the marketing funnel. So here we call it the admission funnel. So how the admission cycle works, and a little bit about the strategies which come under, both outbound and inbound. So let's start with the awareness phase and take it till the admissions.
Sure. So people in the audience, funnel is a 40, 50-year-old concept in marketing. And it's a very prominent concept to think about your entire strategy of going and acquiring your prospects or your customers, right? Now, what we have done is that we have turned it upside down for education. And if you look at from the start of the prospect, right, that it goes through step by step, a very linear way of going downwards, and it becomes steeper and steeper. It's go down. It starts from awareness to interest to consideration, admission, and then retention. So what does it mean, right? And in order to go through this funnel, you have two weapons with you. One weapon is an inbound and one is an outbound. Very simply put, inbound is where the prospects come to you, and outbound is that where you go to the prospects in a very simple, plain language. So what are the tools or what are the strategies that you could use? So for example, let's look at outbound strategy. So at the awareness stage, attending events, collaboration and partnerships, with say for a B school is collaborating with a coaching institute, which is training people in CAT or and MAT, or engineering colleges collaborating with a JE training institute, uh, maybe a city vocational training institute or a mobility so they can go and partner with people who are offering very kind of certificate program in hotel management, or they're offering programs in nutrition and so on and so forth in this case, and they're talking about that. So that comes like an outbound strategy at the awareness stage. And as you move down the stage, the 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 interaction and engagement becomes, Tanisha, more personalized. So that's a very important thing, right? It will become more narrow, more personalized. So in the interest phase or in the consideration phase, you will go via telecalling and cold email outreach. So we'll have people call these prospects and educate them about their programs. And then you will invite them to come on the campus and open house event. And then you'll go with more intimate ways like a WhatsApp and more direct email about deadline and so on and so forth as you move from considering the admission deadline. So these are some of the outbound strategies. It's very important, Tanisha, to understand that they need to be done in a very gradual way. So you cannot send a direct email, and that's the problem that I see a lot of institutes end up doing. They send a very direct deadline email as the first email to the candidate immediately, right? Mostly it will land in spam, or the kid will just overlook it. It could be a very subtle engagement of asking him to attend an event or a course webinar or a collaboration event, or you are doing something along with somebody in a webinar like this. These are the ways, and the audience is very, very smart, so they really understand why, when they are being sold or when they are being educated. So that's very, very important. On the inbound side, I would say, email, blog, publisher listing is very, very critical and important. And then you move on to more narrower things like an online targeted ad and social ads. So for example, if somebody has done 20 or 30 webinars, Tanisha, and they have got 100 registrations in each webinar, then they probably have around 3,000 odd guys. Then they could use them to do remarketing and targeted email ads on Google, Instagram, and Facebook, because email IDs can be used to target people on ads. So that could be very, very focused there. And then there could be a virtual tool of the campus or a webinar and so on and so forth. So you see that webinar is more of an inbound angle, but in the outbound strategy, you will not want to do a webinar. You will want to do a physical event in this case. And we will cover that when to do a webinar and when to do an event. That depends on type of your business. And that's the most important thing that we'll try to talk about, that who needs to do what and when. I think that is very, very important. And I'm excited that what the next slide brings, Tanisha. Yeah, over to you.
Yes, Abhishek. So we spoke about a lot of different strategies, but as we know that one size does not fit all. So all these strategies won't
First,
work for every type of business that we are talking about. So we need to first understand
yeah.
that under what category do you fall, and in the next coming slides we'll be talking about it. Abhish will be enlightening you about it. So let's rewind. We'll be going from bottom to the top. So let's rewind and talk about your business model first, and then we will deep dive into the different go to market strategies for your business model. So Abhishek, over to you.
So let me start by talking is that, imagine that we all 44 people in the webinar, Tanisha, if we start a course. Just imagine a world that we all need to start. We all 44 people in the webinar are team members, and we need to start a course, or we need to start a program, right? I think the first thing that we really need to understand and realize is that uh, what is the kind of business that we are in. And there are two ways of looking at it, Tanisha, if you think about it, right? One is that what's the price point at which we are offering our programs? One, that's one way of looking at it. That what's the complexity of delivery? How we are able to, how we are going to deliver that value to the particular kid. And if you look at it, right, there are four quadrants. It's like a small four, 2 by 2 matrix, right? So one is a low ticket and high delivery, where you have employee programs, skilling programs, and so on and so forth. Then, Tanisha, can you move on to the next bucket? Yeah. Right. So second one is what we call a high delivery and high ticket size. So these are UG and PG programs by affiliated universities. You have an affiliation with a particular university and so on and so forth. So that's another slide of a way of looking at it, right? The third is what we call low complexity and low ticket price. So Tanisha, if you could move on to the next one. So this is like online monthly subscription content where you take a 5.99 or 11.99 like a Netflix or like a Disney Hotstar subscription, and there are various course and content and curriculum available for you, and these service providers are day and night creating content on a specific area. And the fourth one is where you have a high ticket size, and kind of the complexity of the delivery is a low ticket size, but the low delivery, but the ticket size is very, very high, right? So here, imagine all the online MBA preparation, test preparation, CA, CFA, JEE, NEET. Here, generally, these courses or test prep will charge you around a lakh and more, but they could also be delivered online in a very, very clear way to it. Now, the reason why, now this, there's the old saying, right, that try to think from first principles on a very from a very fundamental level. This is the first fundamental understanding that all of you on the panel and anybody who's running any kind of program needs to answer. Which bracket are we in? Are we delivering a high delivery and high ticket size program? Are we delivering a low ticket size and high delivery program? Are we in a online monthly subscription business, or are we in a online or a business? And what I see, Tanisha, and it's very surprising that people who are in a high delivery and high ticket size, they do go to market activities which a low ticket size and low delivery guy will do. And at times, people who are in the low ticket and high delivery do things which probably a online subscription will do, and that's where the dissonance comes start to picture. So now, if this is looking a bit of complicated to you, understanding your education business, let's look at some of the examples of some of the common brands available today in the market, right? So Tanisha, if you could move to the next slide, right? So let's look at a slide in Wholesome. Who are these, some of these brands? So let's start with low ticket size and low delivery, so that you are able to contextualize that, hey, look, how is my business similar to what? So look at Skillshare, Duolingo, Coursera. Now at Skillshare, I can probably do 12.99 rupees per month, and I have an access to all soft skills, arts, courses, probably amazing, brilliant courses. I am a customer of Skillshare, and I do a lot of courses on management, on team build, being a good founder and everything, and also on meditation and on Skillshare today. Duolingo, I used to be a customer. I used to learn Spanish on Duolingo. So, but then they allow you a wide array of courses, and they have low ticket size. They're a subscription model. Then you look at somebody who has a high delivery and high ticket size. I mean, these are your traditional, mom and pop universities and programs like an XLRI, an ISB, a BITS Pilani, and so on and so forth, right? So the fees is high, but the delivery is also high. You come to the campus, you stay there, you have an environment, you build networks, and so on and so forth. Now, these are very commonly understood, Tanisha, things: low ticket size, low delivery, and high ticket size. Often than not, there are two other spectrum which are not widely understood and not very clearly understood. The first one is low ticket and high delivery, where the delivery is very, very high, right? You have to prepare the kids, teach them, but the ticket size is not very huge. And a lot of times the ticket size is depending upon employability. Once you get a job, then you start to pay. So it does not kind of pinches you much. And Newton School, Scalar, Upgrad, they are doing a lot of these activities where they're upskilling and reskilling the kids for they being job ready, so that a virtue of that, when they start to earn, they start to pay, or there is a small upfront fees to start with, right? It's a very interesting model of low ticket size and high delivery, where the curriculum is as deep and extensive as possible, but then it's a low ticket in size. And then finally it brings me to a low delivery and high ticket size. So very good example are Stoa and GrowthX, and these are, Tanisha, the new entrants in the market. What they are saying is that, hey, look, I would not need 2 years to make you an MBA. I could do that in 6 months. But then I will charge this, and I'm going to bring world-class faculty. I'm going to bring more immersive industry collaboration. If you need to study marketing, I'm going to bring you the MD of Hindustan Unilever. If you want to study e-commerce, I'm going to go and bring you the head of Amazon who will come and spend a couple of days with you and teach you how Amazon does, marketing. If you really want to understand real estate, right, then I'm going to build Lodha or Hiranandani to you, and they will talk about how to think about real estate as a career and so on and so forth, right? So if you want to know about B2B companies, then I'm going to bring up Freshworks, and then they will talk about it. So that's a low delivery and high ticket size model. They charge more, but they bring jam pack in a small amount of time. Really amazing curriculum and things. So just wanted to give you a context of what are we talking about, and it's a very important exercise for all of you to go back, and we'll talk about it in the worksheet, to really look and be very honest with yourself that where do you fit. And if you are not very sure, then there are ways to understand that where do you fit. Which brings me to a very important fact, Tanisha, is that now when you know where we are, what are some of examples, what should be our marketing strategy looking like, how we should go and attack those students, right? So and that's where the real action starts to happen. If you can move to the next slide, right?
We will, we will.
So
Abhishek, before that, we have a question from Siddhant, and he's asking example in terms of a culinary academy. So, Siddhant, I would just, request you to just elaborate your question so we can answer it accordingly.
I think I understand this question, Tanisha, to an extent. So, Siddhant, basically, if you look at institutes like culinary, then hotel management, or I would say kit, or I would say nutrition, gym training, these are very niche, and either they cater to a lot of lower middle class or middle class, or they cater to very upper middle class and higher class, right? So uh, you could have somebody studying at your place and they have an aspiration of becoming a Michelin 3-star or 4-star chef, right? So that could be like those standards. Or it could be somebody who has worked in nutrition, or who has worked in hotel hotel management, or he has done some kind of administrative job in a hotel, or they want to, or a housewife wants to start her own business, so they can come and do these kind of courses. So based on that, if you look at those Michelin 3-star, high star, kind of luxury programs, they will definitely be in a high delivery and high ticket size programs. Think of the top tier culinary programs in the world. But I think, if you're starting this business in India and the business is already running and so on and so forth, I think you are basically in a low ticket and a high delivery model, because you have to bring these people in the kitchen, train them how to maintain the kitchen, how to, how to kind of develop that hospitality perspective towards their audience. So it's very high touch, right? But then you might not be able to charge them very high. So what it means that you will have more volume, and you will want to have multiple batches in a small duration time. So in that case, you will be more of a low ticket and high delivery model there. So
Okay.
yeah, and we'll talk about Siddhant. So as we, Siddhant, move towards, and it's a very good question, and I'm very happy, Siddhant, that you have asked this question. I think the very interesting part is that is not this categorization, but what do you do with this categorization? And what do you do with this categorization is that you ask an internal question to your sales, marketing, and counseling team, is that what should be our pitch? How should we going out in the market and talking about us? And that's the thing that we'll cover in the next slide.
So before that, Abhishek, just give me a moment. So people who are asking for recording and for the template, yes, we will be providing this. But I would actually recommend you to attend the session so that you can ask your live questions and directly conversing with Abhi for any questions or any doubts. So yes, we'll be moving to the next slide, Abhishek, now.
Yeah, I think the next slide is a very interesting slide, and we have just kind of shown you the slide clearly. So uh, imagine that you are doing low ticket size and low delivery. So you are a Skillshare, or you are a Coursera. You know that kids will come, they will take a subscription for first month, do some courses, they might leave, and they might come again when they want to do that. The only thing you can do is any kind of inbound activity, which means that you have to have a world class SEO. You have to have an amazing website, because your website is your salesperson and your counselor that will convert. So that's very, very true. You only have inbound or low touch sales or marketing to do that. You could do a bit of PPC and AdWords, but you need to really make sure that your cost of acquisition does not go high, because your ticket size is very small, and your churn or people will leave very quickly, because as a subscription you can take for 1 month and you can be disappearing for 2 months and again come back on a third month, right? So think about all the 9.99, 11.99 programs where there is no teacher. It's all kind of self-paced. You come and at your own pace, you do these kind of programs. Also, you need to have a really amazing tech to power this kind of particular model to it. So that's the delivery, but we are talking about the go to market. Now, looking at something which is a high delivery and high ticket size, think about any university or any institute, and there are some people from Dayanand Sagar. In this case, events and outbound calling are the only core mediums for you, because by doing these offline events, you are able to meet them, you are able to spend on those events because your business model allows you to spend, right? And you are able to partner. So somebody who's running a B school might want to partner with an IMS or a career launcher or an MBA universe, or somebody who's running a engineering college would want to partner with a physics wala, for example, and want to do these kind of programs. So events and outbound calling and outreach becomes very critical and very important. But for somebody who's running a low ticket size and high delivery model, in this case, reviews, testimonies, virality, and a bit of Google PPC might be very important. Now, often than not, I see people making jumbled mistake. People who are doing high delivery and high ticket sizes spending enormous amount of money in Google AdWords, right? People who are doing a low ticket side and high delivery, trying to do so many physical events and putting up booths and stalls. Your customer acquisition cost will not kind of cover, your revenue, unless you're doing only for brand. That's okay, but also brand has some limit on the spend. So here, reviews, testimonials, virality becomes very important. We have a couple of customers in Mumbai who are in the vocational segment and skilling segment, who have a ticket size between 75,000 rupees to 1.5 lakh rupees. I will categorize them in low ticket and high delivery. So they rely probably on word of mouth and testimonial. And if you go to their website, you'll only see testimonial across their Google videos after the placements, Instagram, and they're filled with virality and testimonials and reviews about them. Which brings me to the fourth one, which is more of a low delivery and high ticket size. Now, these are new age guys who believe in doing a lot of content, community, a lot of online events, and they run a lot of paid PPC also in this case. Now, these are the people who believe that along with testimonials, which is a very offline way of interacting, a community is a very good way. So they will end up creating a Slack channel of all the existing alumni, old alumni. They will have constant job posts. They will do what we call small curated meetups. So they will not go and put up a booth or attend a big education event. No, they will do a very close in-house small alumni meets where there will be 50, 70 odd people with probably, breakfast or lunch. And it will be a half day event, but it will be very, very intimate. People will be sharing their own journeys, their own upliftment after the programs. And this is something that is starting, think of it like a focus group or a help group of people who are on the same phase in their lives, right? And this is something that we are seeing very effective or very high, called hyper local events there. So the important question for all of us and anybody who's in the business of education and selling a course and program is to use the right go to market strategy for the right kind of courses in the right kind of segments that you are in, because we live in the age of profitability and and making sure that the business is really running well with cash flow. In this case, this understanding becomes very clearly important, of really understanding your where do you stand in your business vis-a-vis complexity of delivery and course price. What are the good lookalikes and examples which we shared, and what is your go-to market sales and marketing strategy towards it, right? Yeah, Tanisha, over to you.
Yes. So, Abhishek, we have few questions coming in. So, first of all, the first question is, in which category e-learning software category comes? So, she's asking under which category does it fall?
I think Pallavi, that the answer to the question yourself. I think e-learning. So here we are talking about selling a course. So it's more of a B2C. E-learning software is B2B primarily in nature. So it's like a it's a different conversation altogether. But if your e-learning software is a medium through which you are attracting students and you're basically selling your content, then probably you'll be coming in a low ticket size and low delivery, because you cannot charge a student for a content really high, unless and until it's not uh, you know really uplifting and changing the game, like an example that we'll see. So I think it's a more of a B2B question. So maybe we could take it offline.
Sure.
Correct. I think
And
it's a very good question by Shri Surya Kumar. Yeah. So, Mr. Surya Kumar, it's a very good question, and that why companies like Scalar and Newton and Physics Wala are starting their 4-year on-campus courses. So, I think it's very interesting, and I would say that it's interesting in a way that what these people are predominantly doing is that they are moving, and what they are doing is that they are moving from here to here. Okay, that's the movement they're doing, because the movement from low ticket size and low delivery, and also say to an extent, they are also moving at times from here to here. So if you look at it in this perspective and context, right, uh, high delivery and high ticket size have high margins, and it's a business where you can make probably 8-10 lakh rupees or more than that. You lock in the kid for 2 years and 4 years, and you can upsell and cross sell them more activities and more things. So it's a high margin game, and it's where you get more volume and you get more credibility and so on and so forth to it. So I think that's where the strategy is. And once you have proven in this market model, you move towards not being an aggregator or not being a facilitator, but by becoming yourself a course and service provider. Yeah.
so I hope, Shri, sir, that answered your question. If not, please let us know if you want to answer anything else. Our next question is, if we are a business which is low ticket size and low delivery, we can't do any cold calling. Okay.
So for this anonymous attendee, right, nobody knows everything here. So I would say that I don't know, but I would say is that if you are doing cold calling in your low ticket size and low delivery business, means that you are already in a commodity business. Let me explain you why, what I mean by that. Imagine that in Mumbai, in one of the localities in Mumbai, there are 150 CA coaching institutes, right? You are one of them. Now, you might be really doing well, but basically, you're in a commodity market where you don't have any aspect, where you're basically only competing on a little bit of price and a bit of also outcomes and performance. In that market, maybe you need to resort to cold calling because you have not differentiated yourself. But then, for example, you say that, hey, look, from this year, the CA toppers of the last 3 years are going to teach in my academy. Then in this case, probably you could increase your ticket size and you could become probably a kind of a low delivery but high ticket size. Low delivery you could teach online, but you could charge more because probably the CA toppers are not teaching in your program. So then kind of cold calling makes sense. So I think the answer of cold calling in a low ticket size, low delivery model is that are you in a commodity model or are you really differentiated or not? That will determine your fate.
I hope that answered your question. So, next question is from Rahul. Where does the admission consultant or enrollment partner business model fall in?
Of course. So good question, Rahul. I think for Rahul, admission consultant and enrollment partner, this is more of a B2B business, because at the end of the day, for an admission consultant and enrollment partner, the institutes end up paying you. So basically, you are doing business with them and the kids just flow through you. So I would say that in this case, there are two models. One is what we call a cost per lead model and cost per acquisition model. So for example, the gentleman who asked this question, that he's in the low ticket size and low delivery and cold calling. If you work for him, you could tell him that, hey, look, I can provide you interested applications or interested leads on which you can call. So that will, I think, primarily be a low ticket size and low delivery where you're just giving leads. But then if you say that, hey, look, I'm going to also get you 20 admissions every 6 months. So in that case, it becomes literally a high delivery and high ticket size model, because he will be then ready to pay you on conversions and not on leads. And then you also need to probably put up a cold calling team to call and and to get those students interested in. So it depends on whether you are in a lead or acquisition model. That will determine which quadrant you fall in.
Thank you for answering that,
I'm very
Rahul.
happy. I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy with these questions. I think at least it's allowing people to kind of think about their businesses. So really, really very. I think the next example will be more contextual, Tanisha.
So, Abhishek, let's move to the next slide where we'll be actually talking about one of the institute that we spoke about, the Stoa School, and how they have achieved the name in this industry and how they have
Yeah.
actually applied the go-to-market strategies that has proven to be a very good strategy.
Of course, Tanisha. And while we were designing this webinar, everybody in the audience, right, we were thinking about it as that we would really make you think what quadrant you are in. We'll give some examples and we'll also give you go-to-market strategy. But it will not be complete if we don't show you a relevant live example of somebody who's already doing it. And according to me, they're doing it very well. I know the founders also there, and I think they're doing an excellent job in a very, very tough market. So let's look at that example, Tanisha. Very, very tough market. So Tanisha, are you seeing a like a arrow on the screen?
Yes, Abhishek, I
Okay,
can see it.
let me just remove it. 1 second.
Ah,
Yeah,
it's removed. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if you guys know or not. So there's a company called Stoa School. Now they belong to low delivery and high ticket size. They charge not as exorbitant like a B school, but they charge like a premium amount of fees from the students. They are low delivery, means that they have a 6 months program. It only happens on weekends with rigorous 4 hours, 3 hours on Saturday, Sunday, with some classes on the weekdays, primarily for working professionals. They are basically challenging the 50, 60-year-old MBA. So just imagine, like, it's a huge big challenge. I mean, like, it's literally calling out the, calling out the Goliath, and they are the Davids. And what they are saying is that, hey, look, we are the India's best alternative to the traditional MBA. And what they're saying is that we are targeting working professionals because they don't have time. So it's just 6 months. It's a 6 months course, fast moving and impactful new age course. I mean, the people who will be teaching the course are the guys who have built in the last 6 to 7 years amazing companies and have founders, are marketing guys, are sales guys, and so on and so forth. They only offer programs in normal traditional MBA and in growth. Now, some of the things that they teach you, or some of the things that they teach you, or the skill set they teach you, are very relevant for today, which were not even, they were irrelevant in the past. For example, they teach you a course and how to become very good at the founder's office. So now imagine that India has probably 10,000 businesses. Every business is run by a CEO, and every CEO runs a person who's like his right hand man, what we call founder's office. And he is helping him execute strategic vision, strategic missions, and running some very important strategic experiments. Now, no MBA teaches you how to become a really good CEO to a great founder's office person. So just imagine that you'll get a chance to go and work with companies like Tata, Reliance, or Berger Paints, or Tata Motors, or Infosys, TCS, whatnot, where you'll be working with a CRO, CXO, CEO in their founder's office and looking at the normal conversations. Another very good example is that the career of a growth manager. Every company now requires a growth manager, a growth hacker. So how that particular person will be there, he will just not hack, but also understand your business. So that's how what they do. And in order to promote themselves, if you look at the screenshot, there are things like Stoa Daily, Stoa Events, and Community. Now, this is very interesting. So, Stoa Daily is a daily newsletter that you could subscribe to, where they talk about normal tips and tricks in management and in daily life. It's brilliant. I am myself a subscriber. Then they do this very closed door events about management concepts, management in the new age, management in a volatile age, where they invite speakers and they invite ex Stoa school students who have now placed in companies to come. And it's a good community. And I'm very, very sure they have a Slack channel. You could have different channels of Slack or WhatsApp group and whatnot, where they keep on posting content, they keep on posting videos and community. And if you look at their ads, on Google AdWords or even YouTube, right? They are very interesting. They are very cheeky and so on and so forth. And they have done an excellent job organically on their SEO and SEM. I will ask you guys to do a small interesting experiment after this webinar. Go and type alternative MBA in India on your browser. If you type alternative MBA in India on your browser, you'll start to get ads from a lot of these schools. But then the first organic result is of Stoa School. Means that they're ranking very, very high there, and their marketing team has taken their websites, keywords, and things into consideration. And they give a lot of practical insights and examples of becoming a better professional in the age that we are in. Guys, this really appeals to their audience. These audience are primarily millennials and Gen Zs, right? Guys who are in the age group of primarily from 22 to 35, and it really appeals to them. And they might be thinking about a career in a traditional MBA or an executive MBA, but today they have a store. And this is a truly disruptor, if you ask me. I know the founders very well because we are from the same community, but I think they are one of the very good examples of marrying the right ICP with the unique insight, and their entire acquisition happens through their Stoa daily, their events, their content, their community, and their closed door events. And that is the point that we wanted to make, that people are already doing it, and it's a very important case study for you to go and check. Which brings me to the point that now that we have told you where to categorize yourself, how to categorize yourself, what could be the go to market channel, how do you get this all in order and place, right? Like we say in Hindi, kare kaise, how do we do it, right? And that's something that I would want also Tanisha to cover, that we will help you to build this whole thing up also. So Tanisha, over to you.
So, Abhishek, what I feel is, Stoa School was able to clearly understand their target audience, and they actually have built the content on the basis of the Gen Z behavior, their action patterns, and they have done it pretty well. So, keeping in mind the Gen Z, you can go to the YouTube channel and even understand the content there is completely actually attractive to the Gen Z. But the question here comes that how they were able to understand the target audience so clearly and so precisely. So I guess Abhishek, the answer is better, and I guess you will be covering it in a better way. So the answer is value proposition. So basically, I feel that they were able to clearly create that before starting Stoa School, so that they have the content, they have website in place. So Abhishek, why would you tell about the value
Yeah.
proposition?
So Tanisha, you say value proposition canvas, it looks like a jargon from a B school, right? So let's kind of break it down for the audience in a very simple way, right? So if you go to the next slide, what exactly does it mean? And we are going to give you a worksheet for you to go ahead and do that for you. So basically, what are we doing? What are we doing is that we are telling you is that you really need to understand who's your prospective student audience, and for them you need to craft your messaging, you need to craft your call script, you need to craft how different you are. I mean, let me give an example of our esteemed gentleman from the culinary academy that he's on the call today. Imagine that his institute is in a place in Bombay where is in the vicinity of 5 to 10 kilometers there are all five-star hotels there, right? You have Marriott, you have Taj, you have Radisson, you have Hyatt and whatnot, right? So he clearly understands that one of the unfair advantage that he has in Mumbai in the location, that in the 10-kilometer radius, all the top five-star, four-star hotels are there. Now that becomes a very fertile ground for him to invite people from there and from the kids from here to easily go and start to do some kind of internships and things like that. So you really need to understand that what are those pain points of the prospects, and this starts from the right hand side, not from the left hand side. And that's the biggest mistake that most people do. I have this particular program, this program is so good, I will now go and sell and run the ad and do an event to sell my program. Guys, this will not work, I can tell you that. What can potentially work is starting from the right hand side. Who's my student? What demography does he come from? Does he come from a place in Mumbra or Borivali where he comes from a lower middle class, or does he come from probably uh, CST or Kolaba and he comes from South Bombay, right? So their aspirations and their kind of appetite and their outcomes are very, very different. Their gains and pains are very, very different, right? So you really need to go and fill this out, right? And then from the left right hand side, after you've done that, then you say for this kind of audience what we should be building. what kind of programs we should be building, right? So just to give you an example, and we'll give you the sheet, we have created an example for you guys. So let's look at that example and go one by one. Anisha, if you could move to the next slide, right? So let's look at some of the gains of the student, right? For example, they want community and connection, they want direction and inspiration. So I'll keep on using this culinary example, that we have on this conversation, right? So one of the gains they want is that they want to be working and be in a place, and they want to be in a vicinity or a locality where they have access to these kind of opportunities, which means that they have enough hotels and employability options of these kind of hotel and 5-star and 3-star and 4-star hotels there. And what better place than Mumbai in this case, right? Mumbai is also known as the financial and hospitality capital of India, right? So it's a very good, and Mumbai also has a very vibrant fashion, film, and entertainment community there. And that's also where a culinary or a hospitality person can easily fit in, right? So it's a very good gain that he wants. And everybody in Bombay has an aspiration, who's doing a culinary or a food or or a hotel management or hospitality management program to work in entertainment or work in a 5-star hotel or 4-star hotel and whatnot, right? So that's his gain. But his pain is that he does not have that kind of appetite to pay. He cannot afford to stay in those kind of places, right? And he has financial insecurity, he has food and housing insecurity, right? So this is his pain. So imagine the kid from a remote place in Bihar or Jharkhand, where I come from, wants to come to Bombay and do this culinary program and become a chef in a 3-star, 4-star hotel, right? But he does not have that kind of latitude of appetite to pay. But that guy and his parent, right, has a glint in their eyes. They want a successful future. They want to move out from their cities or towns where they don't have opportunities, and they want to go to the new place. So you see what we are doing. We have created a fictional Abhi who comes from a lower middle class background, wants to come into hospitality and wants to become a sous chef and wants to work in Mumbai, but then he does not have financial means to it. So now you have, you know what I mean? You have now a very clear what we call persona of your prospect student. Now with this persona, you go and create your products. You create your messaging. People do the reverse, right? And what could be that? So we offer them kind of accommodation. We offer them low cost but decent PGs. We offer them on campus internships. We offer them while they are studying this culinary course, they can go and work in these 3-star, 4-star hotels. And you as business owners and marketing people can go and build those kind of associations and relationships with them, right? With these kind of hotels and these kind of entertainment houses. And then they get a college experience, and finally they get a certification. So they also want a certification and a validation that this particular program and course was affiliated. So you are probably affiliated to Bombay University or Savitribai Phule University, so that you also add credibility for this particular student. And in this case, if you're offering this kind of culinary program, and if you're offering a certification or affiliation, you can move from a low ticket size and low delivery and a high delivery to becoming, I would say, a medium ticket size and a high delivery, because you will be high delivery anyways. It's more of a physical kind of learning environment, but you could become a medium delivery by looking at this. And how can you become medium delivery? By having variable models. You could say to the kid, hey, look, I will charge you 30% of your fees, but once you get a job, you can start paying me in installments from your salary. We sign a MOU or contract, and I give you a kind of opportunity in my organization. So you are end up charging this kid 2.5 lakh rupees, for example, but he's only paying you 30-50,000 rupees, and remaining he's paying you when he gets a job. That's a very popular model. And then you can kind of experiment with that, just an example. So you really need to understand the gains, pains, and really the outcomes and aspirations of your target audience, because by virtue of that, you will be able to build this gain creator, this pain reliever, and your product and services beyond that. So it's a very critical and important exercise. Some of you who are running your institute for a long period of time need to revisit the kind of students you had, the kind of courses you have. And somebody who has just started 3-5 years ago needs to relook. It's an amazing opportunity at this point in time, because season starts for universities, and season starts for coaching, study abroad, and also for a lot of vocational skilling program. So doing this exercise will help you to do many things: change your website language, change your ad copies, change how your counselor talks on the phone, and change your structure of your course and programs, or will allow you to create new programs and courses for these kind of students at a very different price points. So yeah, and we are very happy to share this worksheet with you, and we will be more than happy to receive few of them and also review some of them and send it across to you with some of our comments. So yeah, Tanisha, over to you.
Beautifully explained, Abhi. I know that this was quite a difficult task, so that's why we are asking take your sweet time, sit with your branding and marketing team, understand what are the pains, gains, and outcomes, and then you will be able to craft this value proposition. So, yes, we'll be happy to receive, as Abhishek already mentioned. So Abhishek, let's open the forum for the Q&A session. If anyone has any questions, if you want to understand anything about value proposition or maybe your business model, we'll be happy to answer.
Sure.
So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat section. And I hope, thank you so much for joining in. And I hope you have really find the webinar insightful. Do let us know in the chat section how you found the webinar. And we'll be continuing doing it in the future as well.
Yeah, I think one of the questions, Tanisha, was how can you share some best practices for nurturing leads and maintaining engagement through the admission cycle? This is a topic for our next webinar. So we will be covering that in our next webinar. Our next webinar will be primarily on what we call conversation and engagement for new age admission and marketing teams. Tanisha, sorry, I kind of broke the secret, but then I thought of mentioning it. So we will be in detail covering it in our next one. But then this is primarily about go to market strategies. So we'll be answering these things in the next webinar. I think there is a
So,
question.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
Nan
Tanisha.
has asked a question.
So how can be useful in a NEET preparation and online admissions? So Tanisha, can you go back on the slide? Go back to
Yes.
the business model one. Yeah, go to market one. Just stop here. Yeah. So Nayan, you are offering. I'm assuming you're offering NEET coaching and test prep, right? So again, NEET coaching and test prep is a commodity market. So test prep is generally a commodity market because there are hundreds of players and there are local players also there in this market. So basically, you are operating in a low ticket size and low and kind of low delivery model if you're online. Generally, people in this segment operate on a low ticket size and high delivery because they have to call kids in their classroom. So there is a capex cost of maintaining classroom, paying rent on the class, and if you are in Bombay or any expensive places, right? But then you cannot charge a kid 4 lakh 5 lakh rupees for it, right? In this case, so you are basically in a low ticket size and high delivery model. What you could do is that you can think about what is the differentiation in your NEET coaching, and the core differentiation in your NEET coaching could be that your faculty is your faculty really a people who are themselves NEET qualified and they are doctors or who are experts in areas of physics, biology, and and maybe chemistry, and they are experts in that area. So that is one very common thing. Another good thing is that your location. Now if you're in, for example, in Mumbai, right, are you located very closely to a bigger university, like for example Mumbai University or a Wellinger, or not Wellinger, probably more of a 10 12th schools vicinity. So any place in Bombay where there are a lot of schools of 11 12th. So more location will also, or you're located near to a metro station or a train station. I think that's also very, very important because in Bombay, you get from a metro station, you quickly don't walk, you go to your coaching institute right away, right? So those location will come into perspective. And third will be that what has been your success rate. I mean, like, are you a small team, but 400 people study and your conversion rate is around 50%. So 200 people go to NEET and qualify. So it will start to kind of do that. If it's just basically an online coaching, then basically you are in a low ticket size and low delivery model. Then you need to invest in your technology, and you need to invest in really doing a really good job in your SEO content website, where people come on your website. So basically, people need to come on your website, discover you, and they need to convert. So you need to have a very strong digital marketing team, and so on and so forth. I will also advise that you would need to have a calling team or a counseling team who work on qualified calls, and the ones which are qualified on the website, they call them and try to convert them via demo class and so on and so forth. So yeah, think
Now
To
we have more questions.
to be more effective in culinary, we need to add testimonials review with a good website. Of course, Siddhant, I mean, that's very, very critical. I would say that more than testimonials and reviews, you need to have good presence on Google, and also on or Google reviews. Because if you see, when people search for these kind of programs, first of all, they see those Google reviews. So, and you ask Tanisha, our branding team also works with some folks like you who are customers, so that we get more Google reviews, even in a B2B parlance. So more Google reviews, more testimonials, more reviews, putting those testimonials on your website, running Google ads on testimonials. I'll give you an example, right? Recently, I did a course on understanding stock market. So I recently found my interest to understand stock market and starting investing. And one of the institutes in Pune and Bombay, they did that. Now I'm seeing their amazing video YouTube ads and the remarketing ads everywhere, right? So, and they're not talking about themselves. They're talking about how much that lady in Pune was able to earn after becoming a trained stock market person. So these stories need to be brought out, Siddhant. And these are so imagine a story of somebody studied at you and he's currently working in Taj as a sous chef or a culinary expert. I mean, these are great stories that needs to be told in your Google ads, in your website, and so on and so forth. Thank you, Rahul.
So
Really appreciate that. Yeah.
I hope that answered your question. And Rahul, thank you so much for giving us the feedback. So he found the webinar to
Yeah.
be very helpful.
I think
Okay. Yeah.
Siddhant has a question, Tanisha, on so if you have a good name with an expert, say Mr. Badoria, and he's a expert in say particular area and profile, he needs to be the face and seen everywhere, right? So his face needs to be in video, his face needs to be in testimonial, and so on and so forth. Think about like that. You're running a country and he's your prime minister. So his face needs to be there in every hoarding, without becoming political, right? So you need to be seen everywhere and your face needs to be seen everywhere and you are the mouthpiece of the organization. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So Siddhant, depends on your again your GTM. In your case, if you are a low ticket size and low delivery, so and or you are a like a low ticket size and high delivery, you have to go by digital marketing and those kind of things. Yeah.
So let me just check the Q&A section if you have. Please college. Please give your views on college search platforms. So
Okay.
I guess they're talking about the publishers, right, Abhishek?
Yeah, yeah. So Niveta, college search platforms are very, very critical and very, very existential to the students as well as to the course sellers. uh, they are the yellow pages of your world, and as they are there, they allow the students to come, find, discover, and make the relevant choices, and you need to be present on them. So my view is that they are very important, they're very critical, and you need to look at your own course and model, and if you can't spend there, at least be present there. So have a listing there, have a blog there, contact the relevant ones, whoever is relevant in your own market, and be there. I'll give you our example. So we are a B2B company, but in India also there are some software search platforms, like you have college search, and we have to be on their platforms, and we have to pay also them. At times we don't may
Captera.
not
We
even
can take an example of Captera, Abhishek.
correct. That might not be relevant for them, but like Captera, G2 Crowd,
Mhm.
Software Suggest, we have to be on them. Sometimes we don't like to pay, but we have to pay for to be them, because they have also created that asset over a period of time that students come there and they visit there, they have a higher footfall. So yes, my view is that they are a necessary part of the cog in the wheel, and we should appreciate them for what they're doing, and we should leverage them in the best possible way.
So I hope Nivita that answered your question. So Abhishek, we have covered a lot of questions, and I hope that people have found this webinar to be helpful. And of course, they were excited to know about their business model. So yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, and we'll be sending this across to you. This value prop slide. So Tanisha, if you go to the slide, right, we'll send you the slide in some editable format, maybe in a one slide presentation. And if you guys work on it and send it across to us, me and Tanisha promise that team will sit and we will review at least, if not everyone, but 10 of them, and send it across to you with her comments. So we don't just want to do a webinar; we want to make it more executable so that you get value out of it, and then you build strong, reliable and kind of resilient businesses, and your courses are really high sellable, and then you impact lives of multiple students.